Hello, and I'm here, Dereck, to respond to RockingLUPA's first thread. I wanted to say welcome, Ingrid, from the Netherlands to the vinyl community. It's just great again that the circle is unbroken and that it um, just more people from many corners and backgrounds are coming together and sharing. This is very cool. So thought I'd go ahead and answer your thread. Here we go. Number one, what's your very first vinyl record ever, and do you still have it? Well, no, I don't. And my very first record was a child's record that was probably given to me for Christmas, maybe when I was either 3 or 4. Um, and they were those golden records, the ones that were yellow, and then some were red, but mostly the ones that I was given were yellow little 78s. I do have some children's records that were given to me in a box of 45s. I don't know where they are now, but they're not the ones that I grew up with. Number two, if your first record was a present, what was the first record you bought and at what age? First record I bought, I think I was maybe 7 years old, and it was like, an early version of a cutout or like a record that was on sale. I think I got it for a dime at a five and dime store, and it was a Bobby Rydell. Remember, it was on Cameo. I don't have it anymore. It was on the Cameo label, and it was not a hit, but it was a Bobby Rydell single, and that was the first record I actually spent money on. Pretty sure I was maybe as young as 5, but more like 6 or 7, I'm thinking. Okay, so when did you start collecting records? How did you discover vinyl? Why vinyl more than CDs, MP3s? I just wrote down all the parts of the question. I would say I started collecting, in my mind, when I first got my first record and record player, which was the Yellow Records, because shortly after that, some 45s were given to me. I can't remember if it was my neighbor or my dad, but Roy Orbison, some stuff like that. I ended up with stuff like that before I ended up with my first kind of early pop and rock records. And because I'm a child of the 60s, I was born in 55, I grew up with vinyl. I love it, and of course, as interestingly, I must say though, as technology has evolved, tape into CD and MP3 and the computer and stuff, when CDs happened, I did shed a lot of vinyl. I was following the trends, and then kind of reawakened, years later, actually, to, oh, geez, wait a minute. I did keep a lot of records, obviously, but man, did I give a lot and sell a lot. So that's question number 3. Number 4, what music did your parents play at home? Were they an influence on your taste? Do you have records in your collection that your parents played? My parents were a huge influence on me because both of my parents were musicians, as well as both my uncles and my grandfather. My dad was a jazz musician. My mother she was a gospel singer, and then she also did a bit of jazz, which is how she met my dad, up until she became sick and became deaf and became really sick, actually, and couldn't do music anymore. But so music and horn playing was big, So I was raised on just everything that you can name, from Duke Ellington to Charlie Parker to T-Bone Walker to Art Tatum to Oscar Peterson to Gene Ammons to John Coltrane to Miles Davis, Fats Waller, Benny Goodman, Louis Armstrong, Louis Prima. Were they an influence on my taste? Definitely. Also, my parents introduced me and my brothers and sisters to classical music, and excuse me here. Several other idioms of music as well, making sure that we learned how to appreciate music. So they're introducing me to classical music and world music had a big influence. Do I have records in my collection that my parents played? Quite a bit, and I do actually have some of my dad's records in my collection, you know, as part of inheritance. You know how that goes. Number 5, did your parents play music that you didn't like, that you later appreciated? I would say yes, but more in general, as I've aged, I've learned to appreciate a lot of things that I didn't when I was younger. And even as I was appreciating things from younger, things that I didn't appreciate then when I got older, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate more. So yeah. And what would that be in particular? I can't really say right off the top of my head. I just know that I appreciate deeply listening to music as a result of all of the music that they exposed me and my brothers and sisters to. Number 6, do you still have or still collect music from your childhood? And when I understand the way you ask the question, no. No, I don't. No childhood TV or anything, you know, no. Number 7, what did you listen to the most as a teenager? Really pretty close to what is the foundation of what I listen to now, which is I've always loved melodic, good pop music. When psychedelia broke out into crossing into pop music, as well as just straight hard rock, psychedelia, and going into metal, psychedelic rock, all of that, you know, electronic music, all of it in my mind and to my ears, I hear this continuous trail from my childhood into the present day of music. So yeah, when I got turned on to Pink Floyd as a 14-year-old, I still love it. About the same time I heard Mothers of Invention. You know, I've been showing a lot of Zappa. Excuse me. I heard the Beatles when I was, 6 or 7? I think for the first time that I remember. Still a huge Beatles fan, so there you go. 8, is your collection more of a reflection of your teen years or what's going on now? And I would have to say that it's really more of an ongoing flow of the here and now, because something that in my own obsessive compulsive way I decided to do when I was very young was I wanted to get or buy a record every year as soon as possible, a record released that year. You know, I'd look on the record and it would be, you know, like published 2011, 10, 9. So I've been doing that since the 70s. So my collection is ongoing reflection, which is why it's kind of such a, you know, it is a fairly wide scope. And I've always, rather than focused on having the records that you would think you definitely gotta have, it's more like I'm always been interested in what's really going on, what's really good, what are the critics talking about, what am I reading about, and discerning between the lines is, you know, the stuff that's really good, that's just not, you know, it's just kind of flying under the radar, over the radar, or, you know what I'm saying? And so that part of how I listened to music was established, you know, when I was very young, and it's still my agenda, which is always interested in what's really good. I mean, I'm not saying that what the mainstream is about is not good. What I am saying is that when you go exploring and listening for stuff that is not necessarily getting a lot of attention, you find music that is incredibly good and incredibly original. And sometimes, whether or not it's incredibly original, you just find music that you just really connect with in a really unique and excellent way, which is one of the things I love about collecting music, you know, exploring and taking chances. Always have. Okay, number 9. Are there artists today that you think are going on now that will be heard in the future, 20, 30 years? Will they be considered greats? I'm going to say I'll say yeah, well, sure. And yet, depending on how things go, you know, infrastructure-wise, things could be fairly like they are in 30 years, and in 30 years there could be some serious rust and kinks in the infrastructures of society. I hope I'm using the right words. And who knows what the, you know, media and culture, what will be going on at that time, what the focus will be. But if it's like it is, which it probably will be in some semblance, yeah, people like the thread that continues through rock's beginnings. I mean, we still get the references of Elvis, Beatles, you know, Stones, into the Michael Jackson, Madonna, into now Lady Gaga. Even more that I can say, and so it kind of seems like that thread will. Oh, Bruce Springsteen, Ed Dylan. Excuse me, you know, it takes me a minute. Will that thread continue? Yeah, I think so. I think it will continue as long as media and as long as it's going on. Yeah, there will be icons. And the last question is, do you make music? If you've watched any of my other videos, yes, you know that I make music, have grown up in a musical family, have been in a bunch of bands going back to coming right out of my teen years, playing everything from hard rock to metal to punk rock to jazz to electronic music to modern alternative music, whatever, you know. I do. I've released a bunch of records. I've been on a bunch of records, nothing super major. I have I have music online you can listen to, and you can order, and you can also download for free. And I will annotate some of those websites so you can do that if you're interested. And yeah, I love the fact that other musicians besides myself are collectors, and it just seems like it's just kind of a natural extension of making music to surround yourself with music as well as making it. Although I do know some musicians who just make music and don't listen, don't collect. but I love the entire aspect. I love playing and collecting and listening and collaborating. Really do enjoy just everything about music. It's the thing that's kept me alive. It may sound pretentious or like a cliche, but it's something I've shared with people who've gotten to know me over the years, that literally the last attempt to commit suicide seriously, which I was about maybe 20, 21 or so, or maybe just 19. See, again, I get fuzzy. The thoughts that really got me to struggle to stay alive, because it took something that had no antidote, was, yeah, I've said this before, it was music. It's like I won't be able to listen to music anymore, and it got me to come back, and so making music is part of that. You know what I'm saying? The way that I make music is so that I can listen to it. And so thank you for those insightful questions. I enjoy very much answering such, and hope that you enjoy listening to the answers. Leave me comments, and see you soon.